Hi, my name's Ali Sanchez. I'm a traditional herbalist practicing from my clinic, the Alternative Healing Centre in the beautiful Blue Mountains just outside of Sydney. And I've recently been talking a bit about a cleanse I've been doing. It's been the Mega Juice and Herb Cleanse, and I've done 7 weeks straight on juice. And I just wanted to talk a little bit about something that's not often spoken about when fasting, and that's the bowel. And that's, you know, just getting your poo on. The reason I'm doing this is basically what happens is when we're juice fasting, it's like we are taking in all the vitamins and minerals we need and all these healing phytonutrients. Juice, I like to see it like my herbal medicine I make. It's medicine, and it's a wonderful medicine to take. And while we're juicing, we're not taking any what they call insoluble fiber. There's 2 types of fiber, soluble and insoluble. The soluble fiber you still do get when you juice because it's soluble, so it's within the juice. So you get those healing qualities of juice, of fiber, like lowering cholesterol and just helping, you know, to clean the body. But insoluble fiber, that's what bulks up our poo, and that's what gets everything moving. And when you juice fasting, you're not actually doing this. Now, some people might think that this is a bad thing, but it's not, and I'll tell you why. Because when we're juicing, and as I said, we're getting all the nutrients that our body needs, what happens is we have a finite amount of energy in our body, okay? We've got a certain amount of energy, and a lot of that energy is taken up by digestion. So when we stop digesting by fasting, then we've got all this energy that's freed up. And what happens when our body has energy that's free or freed up? Well, our bodies are so amazing and so wonderfully created that they are designed already to clean. They're already designed to detox. Detoxing is something that goes on naturally all the time. And so when we fast, we really, our body's like, okay, well, I don't have to be busy digesting food. What am I going to do? You know what? This place is a mess. I'm going to clean house. And it starts dumping all the waste product. Now, the waste can be we've got natural waste from cellular respiration, just, you know, our body's staying alive, basically the way we build energy, all that stuff. We that has a natural waste to it. And also there's waste from, you know, the bad foods we've eaten. There's toxins that we breathe in, even like emotions that create chemicals within our body. All this sort of waste product that our body cannot use, hence why we call it waste, needs to come out. Because healers from long ago have always said that health begins in the bowel, and having our waste out of our bodies and not kept within our bodies really helps to prevent a lot of chronic diseases. Now, so with juicing and with the bowel, like I said, we're not taking fiber in. So what we want to do is actually help our bodies to get rid of the poo that's already there and any of the waste product that's being dumped in there, because we're, you know, heightening the detox function of our bodies. Now, there's a few ways to do this. Firstly, we can use herbal medicine, and it's probably, well, okay, we can start with laxatives. Now, laxatives, we think of herbs like senna, there's cascara, even rhubarb, and laxatives have an effect of what they do is they irritate the colon or irritate the lining, so that a body, you know, it's like, ugh, and it wants to just evacuate. So any backlog of poo or whatever will come out, you know, with a laxative. And many of us have already probably had an experience with laxatives. Now, laxatives are good for very short-term use. They're no good for long-term use. And the reason why is they actually become addictive. They make our bowels lazy. So we no longer have that natural peristalsis, or that natural muscle contraction that will push a poo out. So while There can be a use for laxatives, which I do occasionally use in my clinic. I don't advise them for long-term use, and I wouldn't advise them for a long-term fast either. If you were to use laxatives, I would use them in the first part of a fast, you know, maybe every second day for the first week, but then we need to move on to some other methods. And another one, again, it's more of a food type, and that's bulking up your bowels through taking psyllium husks, or even better, slippery elm, or even better, a blend. I've actually got a blend in my clinic of slippery elm, psyllium husks, and a few of the kind of soothing herbs. And you take this every morning and every night. And if you're not happy with the way your bowels are going, then I'd suggest you take it 3 times a day, because we really want to get a good bowel going. And you might be surprised actually when you do fast is how much poo you actually have. You can poo like every day for a good week or more before it kind of starts to slow down, and it's just an indicator of while most of us go, oh, I'm not constipated, that we do actually retain feces. And this, like I said, from natural health perspective, is not a good thing, because when feces is laying there in the bowel, the colon is designed to let water in and out. So the waste sitting there, the body's like, oh well, it's not coming out the bum, so how else can I get this crap literally out of here? So the body actually starts to reabsorb, and that takes the moisture away from your feces. And you might experience this phenomena, or maybe your kids or whoever, when they do like that pebbly poo. That's a sign of real constipation, when the moisture's been taken out of the bowel, so much so that the feces starts to harden. And interestingly, I was reading not that long ago, I don't have the stats with me, but it was from a guy that does autopsies, and he was saying it was crazy. It's like 70 or 80%, maybe even more, of Americans had a compacted bowel. And this is when that poo that hardens sticks to the wall of the colon. And what happens is that the colon actually starts to stretch. And so it will stretch to allow the free-flowing poo to come through. So it forms actually like a tunnel. And what happens is many people, they're doing their poo every day. They're like, no, I'm fine, I poo every day, I'm onto this. But what they don't realize is while they're pooing every day, their colon is actually got compacted feces all around it. And again, not a good thing. Okay, so we've got the laxatives, we've got the bulking agents, and these are really good for people who feel uncomfortable about using what I'll call mechanical approaches to clearing the bowel. And that's, whatchamacallit, that's a enema, like a water enema or a coffee enema, and also colonic hydration or colonic irrigation. Now, first up is the enema. Now, I use enemas, I can admit that. And basically what this entails, I wish I had one right here, but I don't, is you can buy them on eBay. They're like $10, $15 at the most, or a local chemist. And what you do is it has a bag on one end, and you fill that bag with filtered water. You can use herbs. Honestly, I just prefer to use water myself, or coffee. If you're familiar with the Gershon therapy, or any of these other sort of, therapeutic models, coffee enemas are quite popular. And from my understanding, what the coffee enema does, not only is it hydrating your poo, which I'll get into in a sec, but it also helps to sort of trigger the liver and gallbladder to sort of help the poo along from the other end. So anyway, the water enema, or the enema, we fill up you get a little bag, and you fill that with the filtered water, and you hang that. Well, this is how I do it. I hang it from the back of my bathroom door, and then you lay down. It's got a long tube and a little nozzle at the end, and you can use a little bit of lube or something like that on the end, and you lie down on your side, make yourself comfortable, get a pillow. You're going to be there for at least 5 or 10 minutes, so I don't know, you want some music on, a book to read, whatever. So you lie down and you stick the nozzle bit up your bum, and basically it'll have like a nozzle that you can clip on and off to allow the water to flow, because what you're doing is you're using gravity. So you're lying down with this thing up your butt. You might want to warn the family. I mean, my kids have walked in on me going, "What are you doing, Mum?" And my son said to me the other day, he goes, "I don't like that bum thing you do, Mum." But yeah, that's our house, you know. So word of warning, you know, you might want to let everybody know what you're up to. Or just say, look guys, I just need a bit of privacy. And yeah, set that time aside. So we lie down on the floor, stick it up your butt, turn the tap so the water will start to go into your bum. Now, it can feel very odd, particularly when you first do it. You can even have that real sense of urgency that you want to do a poo really badly. Listen to yourself. You know, the first few times you might just not last very long and want to sit on the toilet straight away. But the ideal is to allow all that bag into your bum, into your bowels. And you know how I was talking about that hardened feces? Well, it's not rocket science. The water goes in there and just softens it all up, gets it all softened up. And what you do is once it's all up your bum, you roll around onto your back. You can even lift yourself up. You can do a bit of not a headstand, but really you want to like elevate your butt so the water's all getting into your colon, and wait 5 minutes or so. And then once you've waited 5 minutes, you can even do up to 10 minutes. Then you quickly jump up and sit on the toilet, and it'll just go kind of like that, and all the poo will all come out. And I do suggest that you sit there on the toilet for a little while too, because to give you another embarrassing story, I have done enemas, got all the water up there, sat on the toilet thinking it's all over, and go out and about, you know, outside, do and then let's just say it wasn't all out and it decided to come out. And lucky I was alone, but it's embarrassing. I had to run to the toilet and clean myself up. So I learnt that way. So don't do it that way. Best just to sit there, give yourself a good 5 minutes, because you might just do that initial whoosh of water and poo, but just sit there and make sure that everything is out before you get up and get on with your day. Because enemas are ideal to do first thing in the morning when you're fasting. Now, these water enemas, basically your colon goes like in a U shape. From, say, imagine your bum, it goes up the left-hand side, across the top, and then back down. And with an enema, it's believed that it just goes up the first bit, which is great, gets things moving, particularly if you're also doing your psyllium husk, slippery elm, even chia seeds, that sort of thing. Yeah, so if you do that, great. But I really do recommend to, you know, take the plunge and go and get a colonic irrigation. Now, I have been wanting to do one of these for years. This is the sort of thing that, you know, people like myself dream about having. But when you got a busy life with children and all that sort of stuff, and, you know, my babies are now old enough that, you know, I'm no longer breastfeeding and all that sort of stuff. So I've got spare time to go and get colonic irrigations, because there's no one close by in my local area. So I did have to travel 45 minutes to get one done. And it was really interesting, because, you know, you like to think of yourself, you know, you look after yourself, you eat well, or try to anyway. I'm no angel, I'm just telling you that right now. So anyway, I went to get a colonic irrigation 2 weeks, so I was already a good month, 5 weeks into my fast when I finally went to go. And let's just say I had compacted poo, and she actually told me I had a sluggish bowel, and I was a bit like, me? Sluggish bowel? And yeah, and I think, you know, it's like any job, you know, you're always giving out information and helping people with their own health, that sometimes you really don't actually put a mirror in front of your face and have a good look. That's why it's always good for therapists to actually go and see somebody else to get that sort of outside point of view. And so, yeah, so she was like, I mean, the first bit of my colon was pretty clean from all the enemas I've been doing, but she got in really deep, and it took ages to get out some big clunky bits of poo. And yeah, so I was like, like, wow, you know, I'm a convert. I'm a total convert now. I love it. And I suggest anyone, like I said, give it a go. And so from that colonic, talking to this lady, it was very interesting too, because I was explaining, you know, the very first days when I started my cleanse, I had this shocking kind of what we call it, like a healing crisis straight up, where I was very nauseous and I was vomiting like really quickly. And she said to me that if you have the colonic irrigation straight up, you can actually prevent that sort of thing. Because basically, like I explained at the beginning, our body's natural detox system is being heightened, and you know, all this free energy from your fasting, you know, you're dumping all this waste into your bowels, and if you getting it out straight away, then it doesn't really have that chance to make you feel sick. So that's worth a thought too, if anyone's intending on doing a fast. And lastly, actually, while I'm talking about my own bowels, you know, two things actually. The other thing that you can do is clay, if you're familiar with the clay, or even the, I can never say the word, Damascus earth. But with the clay, what clay does is you can have a tablespoon at night with your psyllium husk slippery elm mix, and clay actually is a really good drawing agent. So it helps to draw any of the waste products, toxins, pollutants, anything like that. It draws them into the bowel, and then you can excrete them out. I did have a bad experience with clay probably 2 years ago when I did a pretty intense cleanse over a weekend, and I was having clay every 2 hours, and it got to the point where I was gagging, because clay, it tastes like dirt, but it's got this real sort of weird texture to it. And I'm pretty hardcore, like I have herbal medicine straight, you know, I don't care, I have it all. But yeah, I didn't do the clay. I haven't done the clay since. That was 2 years ago. I haven't done it since, but I do tell you, when I did do the clay, oh my gosh, I felt like I'd given birth. What came out of my butt, I was like pretty impressed. And I think I will go down the path of trying clay, possibly my next fast, my next cleanse. I might try the clay. And the tumultuous earth, if you ever see it on Google, you know exactly what I'm trying to say. I am taking that. I'm taking that every night. I've got a really nice blend. It's got the tumultuous earth. It's a liquid, and it doesn't taste too bad, and it's got some sulfuric compounds. Like sulfur is a really good it's a good cleaner, and one or two other little, it's a pre-made product that I purchased, and if you're keen, maybe I'll eventually get that on my website to sell. And yeah, so I've been mixing that at night with the psyllium husks as well. So that's the other ways to cleanse, is the clay and the Damascus earth. But yeah, getting back to my own bowels, and if you do have a sluggish bowel, or if you have issues like diverticulitis, or diverticulitis or colonitis, they're all pretty serious. But if you have them, you know, you probably would be seeing somebody in the medical field as well as a natural health practitioner. And looking after the bowel, we can use herbs like marshmallow, slippery elm again, a real mucilage texture to them, really coat the bowel and just help to soothe it. So if there's any inflammation there, it helps to soothe and protect it. Any sort of wind or gassy stuff too, you can use something like fennel. Like fennel's a really good one too to put in your mix. And I also use herbs, some of the pungent herbs, you know, like rosemary or parsley or even chamomile. They're all really lovely sort of overall digestive herbs. But yeah, I hope from this, I've talked for a little while, but I hope from this that you can understand why it's so important to look after the bowels while you fast. I really don't know why it's not spoken about much. You hear a lot of people talking about, I'm on a juice fast, but they're not talking about sticking, you know, water enemas up their bum, are they? But they should be. And the other thing too, as we live in a world that is so polluted, you know, we really are in another paradigm now, if that's the right word. And another stat that I'm not 100% on, I think it was like 20,000 new chemicals are in our environment in the last 20 years that have never been there before. And as you people are probably aware, You got all those weird, you know, estrogenic type chemicals, you know, that sit on our receptor cells and cause all these, you know, hormonal imbalances. And, you know, these are only what we know. There's all these chemicals, you know, they're in our clothes, carpets, because they don't do testing on these chemicals for human consumption, because we're not going to eat them. But the problem is we breathe them in. So you can live the most purest organic life, but if you walk outside or even inside the house, you are still breathing in crap, basically. So I really do believe in the importance of a cleanse and the importance of what's known as a detox. At least, well, I try to do it once a season. I don't always do these long ones. You know, 2-3 days is fine, but just getting in that habit of giving your body a break, getting the bowels nice and cleaned, and perhaps even consider booking yourself in with your local friendly colon irrigation person. Thanks for watching. I hope you've enjoyed this. And I've actually just phased off my cleanse now. I was going to do the 12 weeks. I didn't make it, but hey, I'm human. But I'll share that in my next video. But yeah, please feel free to contact me via my website if you want any further information. And yeah, let's all just keep our bums healthy. Thanks for watching. Bye.